Welcome back to the deep dive. If you need a shortcut to being comprehensively well-informed, you are absolutely in the right place.
That's the goal.
Today, we are undertaking a really high-speed, high-stakes synthetic deep dive. We've got a vast stack of source material detailing key events that all sort of crystallized on November 20, 2025.
And we really need to stress, we're not just reading headlines, we're trying to connect them.
Exactly.
That's right. The geographical and, the thematic breadth of today's sources is pretty extraordinary. We're synthesizing political records being set in the largest democracy.
Right.
Unprecedented constitutional challenges before the Supreme Court. A genuinely audacious act of organized crime.
I mean, truly audacious.
And at the same time, we're tracking an interstellar object passing through our solar system for the very first time.
The mission is clear. We're going deep into the facts provided across governance, law, security, and even cosmology. We want to show you how these seemingly unrelated events, a political swearing-in, a legal precedent, a comet, how they all speak to the fundamental forces that are shaping our world right now.
And I think the theme today, above all, is examining the facts behind these dramatic events. In governance, law, security, and this ongoing push for accountability in pretty much all sectors.
A great way to put it.
So let's jump right in. We can start where political history is being made, moving from the celebratory spectacle of consolidated power
to the sharp reality of political defeat and self-reflection. #2. Bihar's political continuity and contest. #T. Nitish Kumar's record reappointment. Okay, let's unpack this with a deep dive into Bihar politics. Our sources confirm a genuinely remarkable piece of political history.
That would be Nitish Kumar.
Exactly. Nitish Kumar, the veteran leader of the Janata Dal United, or JDU, is set to take the oath as Bihar's chief minister for the 10th time.
The 10th time. It's a state record, and it's a testament not just to political skill, but to an extraordinary capacity for, political survival.
And reinvention over 2 decades.
It speaks volumes. It really does. In a country where political longevity at the top is, it's not uncommon. 10 swearing-in ceremonies is something else. Some of them within short periods because of shifting alliances.
Right, the coalitions come and go.
They do. And this solidifies Kumar's status as the quintessential coalition architect. And this specific return, it follows an emphatic victory for the National Democratic Alliance, the NDA, in the assembly elections.
And when we say emphatic, we really mean dominant.
Oh, completely.
The NDA secured 202 seats. That's out of a total of 243 seats in the assembly.
So that leaves the opposition coalition, the Mahagathbandhan, with just 36 seats.
A mere 36. That's a margin that suggests, total control over the legislative agenda for the foreseeable future.
The magnitude of the victory is critical, for sure, but I think the internal dynamics are even more fascinating.
How so?
Well, while the NDA as a whole won, the power center within that alliance has clearly shifted. The sources are pretty clear that the Bharatiya Janata Party, the BJP, emerged as the single largest party. They secured 89 seats. So the JDU's tally, while it's sufficient to lead the coalition, is now numerically surpassed by its larger national partner.
That's the key detail right there.
Yeah.
That structural reality, the BJP being the largest party but Kumar retaining the chief ministership, that raises immediate questions about the nature of this coalition. Why keep Kumar at the top?
It's a classic strategy. You're balancing continuity, social engineering, and coalition management for future national goals.
Right.
Kumar brings stability, administrative experience, and crucially, he commands a loyal segment of the other backward classes and Dalit votes. Those are vital for the NDA's broad appeal in Bihar.
And you have to keep the smaller partners happy, too.
Absolutely. We have to note the representation gained by crucial smaller allies, specifically Shrag Paswan's Lok Janshakti Party, Ram Vilas. This victory is broad, but it requires really delicate power-sharing negotiations, precisely because the BJP's numerical strength is now, it's undeniable.
So let's move to the physical manifestation of this dominance. The swearing-in ceremony itself, the sources give us the time and location.
November 20, 2025, at 11:30 in the morning at Patna's iconic Gandhi Maidan.
And the choice of venue is so important, isn't it? It's intensely symbolic.
It really is. It speaks directly to political communication. This is the 4th time since 2005 that Kumar has opted for Gandhi Maidan. He's not choosing the smaller, more exclusive Raj Bhavan.
So what message does that send?
Using the Maidan, it underscores a desire to demonstrate massive public support and political weight. You're making the event accessible to the masses, showcasing the victory as a popular mandate, not, some backroom deal.
To manage an event on that scale, the logistics and the security, they must be just staggering, especially with all the high-profile people attending.
The anticipated crowd is expected to surpass 3 lakh attendees.
300,000 people.
At least. So the sources confirm a security operation that's approaching fortress levels.
I can imagine.
We're looking at a comprehensive deployment. It involved the Special Protection Group, the SPG, for the high-risk dignitaries. And they're supported by a massive Patna police contingent. We're talking over 2,500 personnel, 250 officers, and 250 magistrates on duty. This is really indicative of the perceived threat level and, of course, the importance of the event.
And they're not just relying on boots on the ground, they're employing advanced surveillance tech, too.
Absolutely. Security here is multidimensional. Snipers are strategically positioned on high-rise buildings all around the Maidan.
Wow.
Drones are monitoring the crowds from above, and 128 CCTV cameras have been installed specifically for this event.
So total coverage.
Total coverage. On top of that, all roads surrounding Gandhi Maidan are completely barricaded. There are stringent traffic restrictions and mandatory metal detectors at every single entry point to manage the sheer volume and, ensure safety.
And the list of dignitaries really underscores the national significance of this NDA victory.
It does. You see the entire national BJP leadership represented. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah, BJP President JP Nadda, they're all expected to be there.
But it's not just the BJP top brass.
No, and this is crucial. The sources also list key regional NDA allies. Chandrababu Naidu, the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Nara Lokesh, the Andhra IT Minister, and Mohan Chauhan Maji, the Chief Minister of Odisha.
So it's a show of force for the whole alliance.
Exactly. Their collective presence reinforces the narrative of a cohesive, dominant, pan-India NDA structure.
Okay, now let's transition to the crucial task of actually forming the government, the internal power sharing, the cabinet formation. This is where that 89-seat question really comes into play.
Right. And the initial cabinet structure, it looks like it's designed to reflect the coalition's foundational balance.
Starting with the deputy CMs.
The roles of deputy chief ministers appear largely settled. They're continuing the status quo to signal stability. Samrat Chaudhary and Vijay Kumar Sinha, who were elected as the leader and deputy leader of the BJP legislature party, respectively,
Right.
are highly likely to continue in their deputy CM roles. Mangal Pandey is also mentioned as being under consideration for a significant portfolio, which further demonstrates the BJP's assertion of key positions.
But the sources point to some contention over the Bihar Assembly Speaker post. That's a really critical legislative position.
It is, because the Speaker controls the whole legislative schedule, disqualifications, the overall House decorum. It's a hugely powerful role.
And who are the candidates?
The candidates are BJP's Prem Kumar and JDU's Vijay Chowdhury, with another JD name, Narendra Narayana Yadav, also in the running.
So this is the first real friction point we're seeing.
It's the first clear indicator of internal tension. Giving the Speaker post to the BJP would consolidate their legislative control. Retaining it for the JDU maintains Kumar's leverage. The negotiation here is basically a microcosm of the delicate coalition management that's going to be required moving forward.
And what about the overall cabinet composition? It seems structured to distribute power based on that seat count we mentioned.
Exactly. The report suggests a specific 16-14 ministerial birth split.
16 for the BJP, 14 for the JD.
Precisely. That 16-14 ratio directly addresses the numerical disparity between the two largest alliance partners. And on top of that, berths have to be allocated to the smaller allies.
To keep everyone in the tent.
Rashtriya Lok Morcha, Hindustani Awam Morcha, secular, and LJPRV. They all need to be kept happy to maintain their support. The plan also suggests integrating 5 to 6 new faces.
Which is a pretty standard strategic move.
Right. You reward new political talent, you signal freshness, but you also maintain experienced leadership.
So the significance of Kumar's 10th reappointment, then, it isn't just a simple victory.
No, not at all. It's a study in coalition dynamics. While it provides immediate political stability and consolidates NDA dominance in Bihar, the enduring question is the internal management of this powerful coalition. The negotiation over the Speaker and key portfolios, it reveals that even after a massive win, governance is fundamentally an ongoing high-stakes negotiation between powerful partners. #BA. The opposition's atonement.
And that just sets up an incredible contrast. We're moving from this spectacle of dominance to the deep self-reflection of the political challenger. This is where we look at how the opposition is responding to this, well, this crushing defeat.
We turn to Prashant Kishor, the political strategist who founded the Jan Swaraj Party.
Right.
Following the poor performance of his party in the Bihar Assembly elections, his public response was highly unusual for a modern political figure. It emphasized accountability over deflection.
He accepted full, unequivocal responsibility for the defeat. He acknowledged they failed to achieve the systemic change they had promised the electorate.
And he framed the setback in moral terms, not just purely political ones.
What do you mean by that?
He stated that while Jan Swaraj failed to secure the votes for power, they had committed no sin. The failure was an execution, a failure to meet the expectations of the people who had invested hope in his movement. It shifts the focus from, electoral strategy to moral integrity.
And he announced a really powerful symbolic act of atonement. And it's scheduled for the very same day as all the political celebrations.
That timing is absolutely crucial. He announced a day-long silent fast on November 20th. And the location.
The B.T. Harwa Gandhi Ashram.
Yes. This act is explicitly described as repentance for falling short of public expectations. By choosing the Gandhi Ashram, he immediately anchors his movement in the legacy of Mahatma Gandhi, a tradition of moral truth, nonviolence, and personal sacrifice.
Let's delve into that symbolism. Why is this more than just, a typical political stunt?
Because it creates a powerful moral and visual counterpoint to the pomp and ceremony of Kumar's swearing in at Gandhi Maidan.
Right, the two events happening simultaneously.
One event celebrates the acquisition of power, while Kishor's action centers on accountability and humility in the face of defeat. This approach, it contrasts so sharply with the general tendency of political leaders to externalize blame.
You mean blaming faulty machines, unfair media, manipulative alliances?
All of it. Kishor's choice to own the failure seeks to maintain the moral capital of his grassroots movement, even if it lacked electoral success.
So what does this defeat and the subsequent act of reflection, what does it underscore about the difficulty of establishing a new political force in Bihar?
It underscores the immense challenge. You're trying to translate even popular grassroots support, which his Jan Swaraj movement achieved through extensive padyatras, foot marches, and public outreach.
Right, he was on the ground for months.
But turning that into concrete electoral power against entrenched coalitions, it's just incredibly difficult. Bihar's political structure is deeply complex. It's defined by established caste equations, community alliances, and party loyalties that have been decades in the making.
So this feels like a moment of clarity for the movement.
I think it is. The sources show this defeat as a moment for reflection. It signals an intent to persist in advocating for systemic change, despite the immediate electoral failure.
And for you, the listener?
Well, for the listener, this contrast highlights two realities of Indian politics. The celebratory consolidation of power on one hand, and the difficult, often morally symbolic, path of the reformer on the other.
The complexity of democracy isn't only playing out in state politics, is it? It's simultaneously being hammered out in the highest court.
That's a good way to put it.
Our next two stories show the Supreme Court of India wrestling with the very definitions of federal power and constitutional equality.
And these are huge foundational questions. ##day, defining gubernatorial authority. We pivot now to a fundamental legal challenge, one with massive implications for federalism. The Supreme Court is set to deliver an advisory opinion on the constitutional boundaries of gubernatorial authority.
Specifically concerning legislative bills passed by elected state assemblies.
Exactly.
And this is a high-stakes legal exercise, and it was initiated by the president herself. Could you explain the mechanism of the presidential reference for our audience?
Sure. This action is taken under Article 143 of the Constitution. It's a special power that grants the president the ability to seek the Supreme Court's advisory opinion on important questions of law or fact.
So it's not a regular case?
No, it's a mechanism reserved for matters of exceptional public importance, where constitutional clarity is just urgently needed.
And the sheer scope of this reference is what makes it so critical.
Absolutely. The reference placed 14 distinct legal questions before the apex court. 14.
And they all revolve around one central theme.
Yes. Can fixed, judicially enforceable timelines be imposed on constitutional functionaries, specifically governors, and by extension the president for granting assent to bills passed by state legislatures?
What specifically triggered this? Why now? What's the urgent need for clarity?
The impetus came directly from an April ruling. It was a two-judge bench in the Supreme Court. That ruling dealt with the Tamil Nadu governor, whose prolonged indefinite delay in granting assent to several bills was deemed unconstitutional.
So the court had already said you can't just sit on bills forever.
Essentially, yes. The court held that this procrastination fundamentally undermined the democratic mandate and the legislative supremacy of the state assembly.
And critics have long argued that the governor, acting as the union's representative, can use this lack of a timeline as a political tool, a way to obstruct state governments led by opposition parties.
Precisely. The power struggle centers on Article 200 of the Constitution. A governor has three main options when a bill is presented: grant assent, withhold assent, or reserve the bill for the consideration of the president.
But the contentious point is this implicit fourth option.
The pocket veto, simply sitting on the bill indefinitely. The April ruling suggested that this delay cannot be open-ended, arguing for action within a reasonable time frame.
But I guess the question of whether the judiciary can actually impose a fixed deadline on a constitutional office, that's highly debatable, and that's what leads to this reference.
It raises profound separation of powers issues. I mean, historically, courts have been very reluctant to interfere with the discretion of constitutional functionaries. They fear that setting judicial deadlines might constitute judicial overreach into the executive sphere.
So the five-judge bench has a very fine line to walk.
An incredibly fine line. They have to clarify it. Are governors acting as nonpartisan constitutional guardians, or are they functioning as political agents? That's the core question.
And we also have to address the immediate context and the bench structure.
The decision is being made by a five-judge constitution bench headed by the Chief Justice of India, B.R. Gavai.
And the timing is critical.
The sources highlight the intense urgency because CJI Gavai is set to retire on November 23, 2025. Delivering this complex advisory opinion before his retirement underscores the institutional necessity of resolving this federal conflict immediately.
So what are the concrete long-term implications of this decision, no matter which way it goes?
The implications are monumental for the nature of Indian federalism. Monumental.
Okay, bring that down for us.
If the court mandates fixed, enforceable timelines for action under Article 200, it would significantly curb the unchecked gubernatorial discretion that has often led to legislative gridlock. This would empower state legislatures and uphold their autonomy.
And if they go the other way?
Conversely, if the court maintains the governor's current wide scope of discretion, it reinforces the union's supervisory role. This could potentially allow political tensions between the union and states to continue impeding the legislative process. This verdict will define the operational relationship between the union executive and state governance for decades to come. #TANSB win. Moving from federalism to fundamental rights, the Supreme Court is grappling with another major challenge. This time, it's concerning personal law and gender equality.
Yes, the constitutionality of Talaq-e-Hasan.
A practice, a form of divorce under Islamic personal law, that allows a husband to dissolve a marriage by pronouncing talaq once a month for 3 consecutive months. And the Supreme Court signaled a very strong intent to examine this practice closely during a hearing on November 19, 2025.
Okay, before we discuss the court's view, we need to clarify the mechanics here. How does Talaq-e-Hasan fundamentally differ from Talaq-e-Bidat, which was famously struck down back in 2017?
That differentiation is absolutely crucial for understanding the current challenge. Talaq-e-Bidat, or instant triple talaq, was arbitrary because it was irrevocable and immediate.
Right, pronouncing talaq 3 times in one go.
And the marriage was instantly over. Talaq-e-Hasan involves a waiting period. The husband pronounces talaq once, waits a month, pronounces it a second time, waits another month, and pronounces it a third time.
So there's a period of reflection built in.
Exactly. The key is that during the initial 2 waiting periods, the divorce is revocable if marital relations are resumed. But after that third pronouncement, the divorce becomes final and irrevocable.
So if there's a window for reconciliation, why is the Supreme Court calling it grossly discriminatory?
The discrimination lies in the unilateral nature of the power. There's no mutual consent. Only the husband holds the power to initiate and proceed with this process.
I see.
The bench, which comprised Justices Surya Kant, Ujjal Bhuyan, and Otiswar Singh, expressed palpable disapproval. They stated the practice is grossly discriminatory and incompatible with the dignity of women in a civilized society. The court wasn't focused on the revocability, but on the wife's total inability to stop a process initiated solely by the husband.
In this case, it stems from a 2022 public interest litigation filed by a journalist, Benazir Hina. What was her central argument beyond the constitutional violation?
Hina challenged the practice as irrational and arbitrary. She alleged specific violations of constitutional mandates, Articles 14 for equality, 15 for non-discrimination, 21 for life and liberty and dignity, and 25 for freedom of religion.
And she said her husband used this method to divorce her?
Yes, via a Talaq-e-Hasan notice sent through a lawyer. She also cited dowry disputes as part of the context for the dissolution.
And her counsel highlighted a very real, practical, administrative problem that resulted from this method.
Yes, a devastating practical consequence. Because the divorce notice was delivered by a lawyer, and it occurred over 3 months with no standard legal mechanism certifying the final dissolution.
She was in a kind of legal limbo.
Exactly. She was unable to definitively prove her marital status. This complication severely impacted essential, non-religious matters, like trying to secure school admissions for her child.
And the court's engagement, specifically Justice Kant's questions, they cut directly to the heart of the matter, its modern relevance.
Justice Kant rhetorically asked, "Is this what you allow in 2025? Should a civilized society permit this?"
A very pointed question.
Extremely. The bench emphasized that while the petitioner, being a journalist, had the resources to litigate, countless marginalized Muslim women suffer silently without any legal remedy when they're faced with such unilateral, discriminatory practices. This confirmed the court's stance that judicial intervention is warranted to uphold fundamental rights when personal laws appear to facilitate systemic gender inequality.
The court seems determined to address this comprehensively. So what are the next steps?
Well, due to the complexity and the constitutional gravity of it all, since it involves balancing religious freedom under Article 25 against equality rights under Article 14, the bench suggested referring the matter to a larger 5-judge Constitution bench.
Which signals how seriously they're taking this.
It does. They directed all parties to submit detailed notes outlining the broader constitutional questions at play. This confirms the seriousness of the judicial intent to establish clear constitutional standards for marriage dissolution that protect all citizens equally, regardless of their religious affiliation. This case is just crucial in the ongoing effort to harmonize personal law practices with the mandate of constitutional equality. #CAGFUTV, crime, spirituality, and national security.
Okay, let's transition now. We're moving from the legal battlegrounds to the intersection of culture, crime, and security.
A very different set of topics.
Indeed. #TagNary Aishwarya Rai Bakshan at Sai Baba Centenary.
We can begin with a major cultural and spiritual event. The grand centenary celebrations of the revered spiritual leader Sathya Sai Baba, which drew massive public and political attention.
This event, marking 100 years since Sai Baba's birth, took place in Puttaparthi, Andhra Pradesh, on November 19, 2025. And it drew tens of thousands of devotees, but also some very prominent public figures.
The list of dignitaries was really telling. You had Prime Minister Modi, Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu, and even cricket legend Sachin Tendulkar were present.
Wow.
Their attendance really underscores the deep influence and the philanthropic reach of the Sathya Sai organization globally. And Sai Baba himself, prior to his passing, he claimed to be the reincarnation of Shirdi Sai Baba, which cemented a significant spiritual legacy.
And a major focus of the celebrations was the address delivered by actor Aishwarya Rai Bakshan. It really seemed to connect that world of celebrity culture with spiritual devotion.
Her speech was deeply focused on devotion and gratitude. She emphasized the universal teachings that Sai Baba espoused.
She had that central quote.
She did. A quote that's widely recognized as the core of his philosophy. There is only one caste, the caste of humanity. There is only one religion, the religion of love. There is only one language, the language of the heart. And there is only one God, and he is omnipresent.
And she didn't just quote him, she reinforced the specific principles he taught his devotees.
That's right. She recalled his emphasis on the 5 essential qualities necessary for leading a righteous life: discipline, dedication, devotion, determination, and discrimination.
With discrimination meaning the moral ability to choose right over wrong.
Correct. Her address served to reinforce his legacy not just as a spiritual guide, but as a major force for philanthropy and education, which is a key part of the organization's global footprint.
And her recognition of the political leadership who were present also seemed to link service to governance.
She specifically thanked PM Modi. She stated she anticipated his wise words, impactful and inspiring as always, and noted that his participation added sanctity to the celebration. This interaction reinforces the theme that, for many devotees, spiritual service and dedicated leadership are fundamentally linked.
So her presence really amplified the whole message.
It did. It effectively bridged the gap between global celebrity status and grassroots spiritual commitment. #TagB the Bengaluru heist.
Okay, moving abruptly from spiritual devotion to cold, calculating crime, we turn to a stunning piece of news about an audacious act of organized crime in Bengaluru.
This was described as one of the most meticulously planned and high-value robberies reported in Bengaluru recently.
We're talking about a sophisticated gang that intercepted a cash-loading van and fled with an estimated 7.11 crore rupees.
Which is a massive haul. That suggests considerable prior intelligence.
The details of the crime are incredibly brazen. It happened near Ashoka Pillar in broad daylight around noon.
The sophistication lies in the methodology, the modus operandi. 7 to 8 individuals traveling in an Innova car targeted a CMS logistics vehicle that was carrying cash from an HDFC bank branch.
And they didn't rely on brute force?
No, not at all. They relied on psychological warfare and deception.
Explain how they used deception to pull off such a high-value theft.
Well, the suspects impersonated officials from the Income Tax Department and the Reserve Bank of India.
Wow.
They stopped the van staff, confronted them, and claimed that the logistics staff were transporting unauthorized cash and they needed to verify documents. By exploiting these highly authoritative symbols, IT department and RBI officials, they successfully bypassed the staff's security protocols. They gained immediate fear-based compliance without firing a single shot.
That's a crucial detail. They're exploiting symbols of state authority to execute a crime.
It highlights a level of criminal sophistication that is deeply alarming. Once they had compliance, they forced the CMS employees out of the van, abandoned the driver near Dairy Circle, and then efficiently transferred the large cash payload into their own vehicle.
And the vehicle itself was part of the disguise.
The police noted that the Innova used a fake number plate and conspicuously displayed the phrase "Goft of India" on its rear, reinforcing their masquerade. Investigators also suspect a second vehicle, possibly a Maruti Zen, was used to coordinate surveillance and a subsequent escape.
How quickly did law enforcement respond, and what are their immediate challenges?
Bengaluru Police Commissioner Shubman Kumar immediately formed special teams. The immediate challenge is tracking the perpetrators before they just dissipate into their wider network.
And are there any leads?
They're scrutinizing toll records, which confirm the vehicle crossed a toll near Kolar. That suggests they had a pre-planned escape route leading them out of the city.
So what are the implications of this incident? For financial security, for policing?
The implications are significant and multi-layered. First, it exposes severe procedural vulnerabilities within cash-handling logistics companies like CMS.
Right. Why were security protocols so easily overridden by just verbal claims of authority?
That's the question. And second, it forces law enforcement to contend with organized crime that has escalated from simple threats to these complex, almost theatrical deceptions. Police forces now have to adapt to criminals who are exploiting the public's inherent respect for or fear of government insignia to execute high-value crimes.
So it's going to require more than just better security details.
It will. It will potentially require new authentication protocols for any staff transporting large amounts of cash. Hashtag Owaisi's condemnation and security questions.
Concluding our security segment, we're going to examine a powerful political and religious statement made by AIMIM chief Asaduddin Owaisi. It's regarding radicalization and national security lapses.
Right. Owaisi delivered a sharp, dual-purpose intervention. It came after the emergence of an undated video featuring Umar Nabi, who's a Delhi blast accused.
And in the video, he was trying to justify suicide bombings as acts of martyrdom.
Exactly.
So let's start with Owaisi's moral and religious condemnation, which was completely unambiguous.
He dismissed Nabi's justification immediately and emphatically. He declared the act terrorism and nothing else.
And he provided clear theological context.
He did. He stressed that the act of suicide is explicitly prohibited in Islam, and that the systematic killing of innocent people is deemed a grave sin. This clarity is essential for reinforcing the mainstream Islamic rejection of violent extremist ideologies that, distort religious texts to legitimize violence.
But his intervention quickly transitioned. It became a political and security challenge to the government.
That is the crucial second layer of what he did. He raised serious accountability questions regarding national security and intelligence failures.
How so?
He specifically referenced a prior assurance that was given by Union Home Minister Amit Shah to Parliament. Shah had previously stated that during Operations Sindoor and Mahadev, no local Kashmiri had joined any terror groups in the preceding 6 months.
So Owaisi used that official assurance as leverage to question the current intelligence landscape.
Exactly. He pointedly questioned how, given those parliamentary assurances of success and stability, A new module involving figures like Umar Nabi could emerge and propagate such violent ideology undetected.
He's asking for accountability.
He's asking who, within the security establishment, should be held accountable for this intelligence gap and the failure in monitoring the emergence of these new terror cells.
So his intervention achieved a lot more than just a simple condemnation?
It served a critical dual function. On one hand, it provided essential religious clarity, isolating the terrorist ideology from mainstream faith.
Right.
But simultaneously, it challenged the government's operational efficacy and accountability regarding its own counterterrorism claims. Owaisi's remarks really underscore the urgent necessity of addressing both the ideological appeal of radicalization and the systemic intelligence failures that allow new modules to take root and flourish. #ChagV, the world of cricket and cosmos.
We'll transition now to two topics of, well, immense scale, both representing incredibly high stakes: the trajectory of Indian cricket and the vastness of the cosmos.
From the pitch to outer space.
Let's do it. #A, Shubman Gill's injury and series stakes.
This is a critical update for Indian cricket fans. It's following a highly tense series against South Africa. The Board of Control for Cricket in India, the BCCI, confirmed the status of Captain Shubman Gill,
Who sustained a neck injury during the Kolkata test on day 2.
That's right.
Gill had to leave the field. He was hospitalized for observation and then subsequently discharged, which is obviously reassuring. But the implications for the final match are massive.
Indeed. The BCCI confirmed he is responding positively to medical treatment, and crucially, he traveled with the team to Guwahati on November 19, 2025.
But his final participation is still up in the air.
It is. It's pending further medical assessment, and that uncertainty is the problem.
His potential absence would be a catastrophic blow, especially given the psychological impact of the previous match.
It compounds India's difficulties exponentially. The Kolkata test resulted in a surprising defeat.
Which was South Africa's first test victory on Indian soil since 2010.
An incredible stat. That loss was a significant psychological and tactical setback for the home team. It puts immense pressure on this decider.
And the loss had immediate consequences for the World Test Championship, or WTC, standings. For our listeners who don't follow cricket religiously, could you briefly explain why the WTC standings make every single loss so impactful?
Of course. The WTC operates on a percentage of points won system. So unlike a simple tournament where wins and losses are tracked equally, the WTC measures how effectively teams maximize the points available in each series.
So a single loss, especially at home where you're expected to win,
disproportionately drags down your team's winning percentage because the stakes were just higher for that particular match.
How do the standings look now after that Kolkata defeat?
Well, South Africa, the reigning WTC champions, climbed to second place among the 9 competing teams. They're building strong momentum after their recent final triumph over Australia.
And India.
India, having suffered their 3rd defeat in the current cycle, dropped significantly to 4th place. The margin between the top 4 teams is highly competitive, so the Guwahati result is going to define their trajectory for the remainder of the cycle.
So the decisive third test starts on November 22nd at the ACA Stadium in Guwahati. If Gill, the captain and a critical batsman, is out, who steps up? What's the tactical challenge?
If Gill is unavailable, it immediately creates a leadership vacuum, and it disrupts the opening combination. The tactical challenge shifts from maximizing batting potential to managing uncertainty.
So you'd need a senior player to step in.
An experienced senior player would likely take over the captaincy, perhaps someone like Rohit Sharma if he's available, but the batting lineup would need serious restructuring. You'd possibly have to bring in a reserve specialist batsman.
It's a huge disruption.
It is. The team would need to overcome not just the technical challenge of South Africa's pace attack, but the psychological pressure of playing a must-win match immediately following a major injury scare to their leader. The stakes in Guwahati are, to put it mildly, exceptionally high.
Let's end our deep dive with something that gives us some profound context, something literally out of this world. NASA has unveiled striking close-up images of an incredibly rare interstellar visitor.
Comet 3I Atlas.
Exactly.
And this is truly a once-in-a-lifetime scientific event. Atlas is only the 3rd confirmed object after Oumuamua and 2I Borisov to be positively identified as originating from another star system.
Just passing briefly through our own solar neighborhood.
For a very short time. It was initially discovered earlier this summer by a Chilean telescope, and now the entire global scientific community is mobilizing to get a look at it.
And the sources detail an impressive coordination effort across multiple space agencies to capture images and data.
The observation network is vast. On November 19, 2025, Close-up images were captured by 3 NASA spacecraft that were stationed near Mars.
Because Atlas had passed Mars last month.
At a distance of 18 million miles, or about 29 million kilometers.
Hmm.
2 European Space Agency, or ESA, satellites also contributed observations. This whole coordinated effort leverages existing planetary missions to capture fleeting data points of this very rare object.
And even Earth-based telescopes are playing a key role, correct?
Yes, despite the distance, powerful ground-based observatories, like the Virtual Telescope project, which is run by Gianluca Masi in Italy, captured images as the comet approached.
And the big one is getting involved too.
The James Webb Space Telescope. The JWST is also committed to tracking Atlas, as its infrared capabilities are essential for understanding the comet's chemical composition. Even ESA's JUICE spacecraft, which is currently en route to Jupiter, has been observing it.
Amazing.
Although the data transmission from JUICE is delayed until February. Its antenna is constrained while it's near the sun.
Okay, so give us the trajectory. Where is Atlas right now, and how long do we have to observe it?
Atlas is currently about 190 million miles, or 307 million kilometers from Earth, and it's visible in the pre-dawn sky using good binoculars or amateur telescopes.
And its closest approach?
That's scheduled for mid-December. It'll be at a distance of 167 million miles, or 269 million kilometers. After that point, its trajectory will carry it permanently out of our solar system. This is our only opportunity to study this specific material.
What makes this material so invaluable to scientists, beyond just being, foreign?
The scientific significance lies in its believed origins. The size estimates are large. They range from 440 meters up to 5.6 kilometers across. But the composition is the key. Scientists hypothesize that Atlas originated in a star system that is potentially older than our own sun and planets.
So astronomers are observing pristine material that formed in a cosmic environment that's fundamentally different, maybe much earlier than the formation of our own Earth.
Exactly. NASA astrophysicist Tom Statler underscored this profound implication. He called Atlas a window into the deep past.
A window into the deep past. I like that.
Astronomers are hoping to analyze its volatile compounds, its elemental ratios, its ice composition. How does the chemistry of a planetary disk surrounding an older, distant star system compare to the chemistry that formed our planets? This provides invaluable direct data on the broader evolution of planetary systems across the galaxy. It's infinitely more valuable than relying solely on theoretical models.
And finally, NASA was compelled to address the inevitable speculation that accompanies any rare cosmic visitor.
Yes, they were swift to affirm its natural cometary composition. They explicitly dismissed speculative rumors suggesting the comet might be an alien craft.
Which always seems to happen.
It does. The widespread scientific excitement, and you have Sean Donegal-Goldman, NASA's acting astrophysics director, noting that everyone in control of the telescope wants to look at it, is due purely to the scientific potential.
Yeah.
It's a rare, once-in-a-lifetime chance to study physical matter from beyond our solar system before it departs forever.
We have journeyed through an immense breadth of knowledge today. We started with the sheer mechanics of power, tracking Nitish Kumar's record reappointment and the deep coalition negotiations it entails.
Then we analyzed the moral contrast provided by Prashant Kishor's accountability and his silent fast.
We witnessed the highest judicial authority wrestling with defining the boundaries of constitutional power.
Both federal power concerning governors and individual rights concerning personal law, as we saw in the Talaq-e-Hasan challenge.
We also looked into sophisticated organized crime, massive spiritual devotion, high-stakes cricket, and of course the arrival of an object that predates our very sun.
And what we hope to have provided is a comprehensive synthesis. The value is in seeing how all these facts, whether they relate to the structure of government, the enforcement of law, or the existence of matter beyond our solar system, they all impact our perspective and our daily lives.
There was a pattern today, wasn't there?
I think so. The pattern we observed throughout India's internal news today was a strong, persistent demand for accountability. We saw political accountability demanded by the opposition with Kishor's fast. We saw judicial accountability demanded from the highest court, challenging unchecked executive discretion with the governors and challenging traditional practices that undermine constitutional equality with Talaq-e-Hasan.
And that brings us to our final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. We've covered a dramatic week focused on human systems, which can feel vast and all-encompassing, but we end on a fragment of rock, Comet Atlas, which formed perhaps billions of years ago in a different stellar nursery entirely.
So, considering the enormous weight we place on governance, the conflict over 36 political seats or 7 crore rupees. What does the arrival of this ancient, silent visitor from interstellar space suggest about the ultimate scale and perhaps the temporary nature of all the intensely urgent political and legal dramas that occupy our collective human attention today?
Something to contemplate until the next deep dive.